Welcome back. This is Video Head Cleaner. My name is Tommy, and this is part 2 of our review of Weapons. And without any further ado, here we go.
So we get hit with Paul out of this.
So we get another cut to.
Knowing what we know about Paul and Justine's little romp, Paul's opening scene in this chapter really makes him look like sort of a piece of shit, but also just like a very beaten down man.
So we get his title card. Yeah, the Paul title card, and he's in the cop changing room talking on the phone with, as we can assume, his wife.
It's Donna.
It's Donna on the phone, and she indicates that she's at a hotel, so she's out of town. Right. But that she's going to be back early, and she's very excited about this. He, not so much.
He seems less excited. He's like, "You're going to be gone for 6 days?" And she's like, 3. And he's like, oh boy.
Great. Hey. Yeah, so she's going to be back early. He doesn't really seem very excited about it. She starts coyly talking about, she's ovulating, so, maybe he can hit the target. Wink, wink.
Right. We have competition for straightest moment.
Yeah, right. So
it's on Friday, so it's like fuck me Friday when she gets back or something.
Yeah, she's got baby fever, apparently. Again, he is not enthusiastic about this at all. He just you could just see him, the energy just fleeing his body at every moment of this conversation on the phone. Because after this, she then brings up a lunch with her father for her parents' anniversary. So lunch with the in-laws. Yay!
Oh, wow. Hey. My weekend. I love that.
And then is nagging him about attending an AA meeting. And so it's just, he's being piled on by all these loving family moments with the wife that he is not into at all.
I think this scene was really well done because we learned a ton about Paul, and it informs so much about his behavior in the brief Justine interactions we got. Yeah. But yes, she repeatedly asks him twice to say, hey, be sure and talk to my dad about the lunch dinner or the lunch anniversary thing.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw this, I'm like, bitch, you text your dad. What are you talking about? What do you mean? But we find out briefly after this that the father of Donna is the police chief. So it's Paul's boss.
Yeah.
And so Paul cannot get away at all from this situation, even when she's gone and such, because certain partners do just want to basically if they're separated, talk to you and get a whole report of what happened while you were gone. It's and we get the vibe Paul's a little over that. And he's like, I would like to have anything for me or a space for me. I work with your dad. I come home to you. We could see why he might step out in this sense and go with Justine and be like, this is my easygoing alcoholic friend versus my very high-strung wife who has our whole life planned out.
Yeah.
Our ovulation schedule.
Her father is his boss and also the chief of police for that town. And so he cannot get away from her. He cannot. He is married to her. He works for her father. Her father is the chief of police of that town. He's also a cop, and so he's even further entanglement with his boss. We get the feeling that he's trapped by his own life. And it's weighing him down.
Because he ends the phone call with I love you, and then as soon as he hangs up, he just mutters, Jesus Christ. It's very much like Donna, that's exhausting or whatever. But he's in it. He has not made this breakup, so this is his life, and he's going to deal with it. But in a little character chapter crossover scene, as we'll see, we now see Paul's perspective of seeing Justine from afar and get that little wave, hey, Paul. But then we see Paul in his car out and about, and he is eyeing up a skinny panhandler we've seen previously jogging around town.
Yeah. He sees the punk that was asking for change earlier from Justine running across the street in some kind of hurry. I don't know. But this seems suspicious to Paul as he's out on patrol, like on his beat.
It's funny because there are like two things happening on the radio here. One of them is saying, this is where I get the 30 days from. It says, we learned from the radio, it's been 30 days since the children disappeared. And then as they're saying, be on the lookout for any suspicious figures and report them, thinking of like, hey, maybe we'll get a lead on the kids. You see a little skinny guy jogging across the way looking a little sketchy. And Paul's like, I think I will be on the lookout for sketchy characters, actually. And so, you know, but as I mentioned, yeah, I mean, this further contextualizes like the desperation and depression these parents have, because it's just at this point, like, the police can say they're on it all they want, but if you check in and it's been a month and you're like, are you though? Like, you're doing a bad job, it seems like, if nothing else. But
how do you find no trace of 17 missing children after 30 days?
Right, and in the era of technology, all these other ring cams. Have you been putting other ring cams together? Like, I guess not, but but Paul finds our long-haired drifter as he sort of follows him a bit, and as he peeks down an alley and sees him trying to jimmy like a door or a window open, that's when he flips his lights on and announces over his little police car speaker to stop right there, police.
He goes from pursuit to hot pursuit and is racing after this guy in his patrol car. Gets almost close to where you think he's going to run him over, but then gets out of his car, continues on foot and is just hoofing it after this punk, and finally catches him. Knocks him down, kind of like takes him down roughly and is putting handcuffs on him. But oddly enough, seems kind of unprofessional. Like he brings him down, but is then like asking like, "Are you okay?" Is like, are you injured? And is trying to get him back up on his feet.
Cuffs too tight. Yeah. He does
it's just. Is nice almost, I guess. Yeah. So nothing unseemly, I guess, not yet anyway, but is giving the guy a pat down.
We learn his name is James here.
Asks multiple times whether or not James has anything in his pockets that might poke him or stab him. If he puts his hands down there and checks, is he going to find anything like that? Asks a number of times.
Yeah, or do you have weapons? Do you have drugs? Do you have needles? And James says twice he has none of those. Yeah. But as Paul reaches into James' pocket, he's in fact stabbed by a needle.
Oh, God, yeah.
And at this point, the niceness evaporates, and he just clocks James in the face. He's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Bam.
Well, it doesn't just evaporate. Like, he gets stabbed, and then there's a moment where his ears start ringing in panic. Like he's having a moment where time stops, and just he's grappling with the fact that this most horrible of all things, because he asked James multiple times, and so after all these questionings, you get the sense that Paul's super concerned about this. This is like a fixation of his, and then it happens, and it just, his ears are ringing, like the rage is building, like he's like disoriented, and then he like snaps out of it and just clocks James, just smacks him upside the head so hard that he knocks him down onto the ground. Kind of just snaps for a moment, and then kind of like comes to just long enough to then race to his car for a first aid kit. Yeah,
because whenever this happens, I mean, there are post-exposure protocols and whatnot that cops or emergency room workers or all sorts of things have when they have blood contact with this stuff, because you may be worried about hepatitis, HIV, all number of things. And so we see Paul sort of squeeze his finger to be like, no, don't go in there, disease. Like, get out of there. Ooh.
Yeah. He seems very frantic, very panicky, as we can imagine. But maybe his panic is intense in a way that seems pathological almost. His reaction is seemingly beyond expectable panic, like that this is like the greatest fear he's ever had in his life, and it just happened. Puncture by a dirty needle.
And it's just, I mean, it makes sense. But as he's panicking in this, he all of a sudden looks up and he sees his car camera, and he realizes that he punched James right in view of this on the hood, because he had him up there, and he's like, shit, like my day just got even worse. He pulls the plug on the camera, but then on some level I'm sure knows, like, that's not how that works. Like, they already got the footage and such.
He does it in a way that's reflexive and panicky, but then right after doing it, you can tell that he understands how fucked he is. That it just, nope, it got him. It totally recorded him. It's clearly too late. It got him on camera.
For sure. And so Paul sort of gets the idea. He's like, all right, if I don't book this guy, then they're not going to review my footage. There's not going to be an event of any kind that they like that made this time notable or whatever. So
yeah. He starts trying to figure out what to do, and he makes a deal. A deal of sorts with James that, I'm going to take the cuffs off. I'm going to drive away, and we're going to be cool. We're going to be cool, okay? I'm not going to arrest you, but you're not going to say anything about this. We're going to be cool.
He says the way I see it is I wronged you, but you wronged me, and so we're going to be even essentially. And he's like, but he says after that, he's like, but if I see you out here again, it's going to be a different story. Yeah. I'm not going to be so lenient or such here, and so
James has just recently kind of roused and come to, so he's super disoriented about what the hell's going on. It's not even clear that he understands that he just got knocked out, but is just following along. But Paul is very, very intense and intent on that. And later back in the station, he confesses what happened to the chief, his father-in-law, and the chief tells him, they recorded it, but that hard drive is going to be recorded over in like a month, and if no one makes a complaint and brings it up, no one's going to ever know the footage was even there. But this is a giant loose end. James could just say something and Paul's fucked. So it's Paul is understandably still very frustrated and tense. We see him back outside. He gets that text then from Justine at the bar, right?
Which is funny because it just says, hey. It's not like, hey, I saw you from afar earlier. I was thinking of you or whatever. Just like, hey, like a you up sort of like text.
WID.
Yeah. But he's
Yeah.
freaking out and he gets this text, and I mean, we didn't see him at the bar. It just kind of smash cuts over there
To the bar, and then just immediately to them like hard fucking. It's just like 2 seconds of them just pounding.
A big old fuck there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it crosses my mind. I'm like, Paul didn't get tested for this stuff, for his needle wound or whatever. He may not be the most conscientious person in this sense.
Yeah, that's a good point. Of like he utterly freaked out about this, and now here he is, maybe having unprotected sex with Justine. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like Witch being all over her car. Like I guess sure, like cathartically a good hard fuck. Exactly what you need after accidentally stabbing yourself on a dirty syringe. Sure. But disease?
Paul just kind of seems like a piece of shit, like for the most part. He doesn't really have a lot of redeeming qualities or scenes or such in this movie.
Or just a little hapless in some ways, or just clueless. I don't know. I don't know.
He's just stumbling through his shitty life and trying to get joy where he can a little bit. But take that, Justine, I suppose.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just when you thought it couldn't get any worse for Justine. Oh wait, she might have just gotten hep.
Yeah.
Womp womp.
Delightful. Another strike against Paul, we'll say. But we now catch up with him being hungover and getting back into his car. But he comes home and finds that Donna didn't even wait to this 3 days thing. She's returned now. Donna says that there was some sickness thing and her whole team got sent back, and Paul is not expecting this because his very perceptive, very involved wife is like, hey, Paul, like, where were you last night? And like, and then just kind of looks at him, looks him up and down, is like, no, but really, what were you up to, buddy? Like, what were you doing last night? And Paul, not really putting effort into his hungover lying, just says like, out. It's like and then it cuts away as she's like, you fucking piece of shit or something.
Shit. He has no alibi. He's got no excuse, and so just catches him dead to rights, as it were. So
yeah, and it's implied that he told Donna everything. I mean, essentially, as we cut back to him at work, because the workplace, again, mind you, run by the father of the woman he just cheated on, and who seems to know this as he like glares at Paul walking by. It was what I.
Yeah, there's an earlier scene where after the phone call with Donna, he has a moment of interaction with the chief, and they try to have a father-son moment that is brittle and awkward. And so just this moment right after that, we don't really know. Like, does the father know about this, or is it just because of the previous interaction? We're not really sure, but still, it's awkward. It's definitely awkward. And Paul is definitely, he appears like he thinks that the chief knows. And so he's just in the shitter. For sure.
He's had a bad 24-hour run for sure. And this leads to the end of Paul's scene where he's now quite emotional, and he comes out of the police station where he spies James across the street and yells, "What did I tell you?" And kicking off another chase with James as Paul disconnects his car camera preemptively this time.
Flies into a fury basically immediately, and he turns the camera off before going in a hot pursuit. So right at something climactic and dramatic's about to happen. Cut to another character.
A title card.
Womp womp.
Hope you don't want to see how that chase ended up.
This is when I really started having a problem with this entire narrative structure, because it's just like, oh God, and now there's another line of narrative I got to follow, and it's like, oh God, it doesn't, like, none of this is paying off yet, and like now here's another. We're gonna add more to the pile. Like, God. Anyway, yes, we get another title card. It's James this time. Of course, this is the punk who was on the other side of this, the last narrative thread that we were following, right? And we find James in a tent. He's in a camping tent somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's raining, and he's trying to cook up what we guess is meth. Right, he's got a pipe out,
meth or crack or something there. Yeah, his little glass like that.
Yeah, he's got a glass like crack pipe or meth pipe. We see evidence of like syringes around and whatnot, and he's lighting up the pipe. He's trying to get one last hit of it, but it's got nothing left. He is out, and so this prompts him to go on the hunt, as it were, like just kind of scavenging, just canvassing the place. He's trying car doors to see if any of them are coincidentally unlocked.
This movie's really a PSA to lock your car doors, for sure.
Right.
People with scissors or crackheads might be getting into your car. So.
Exactly. What is this town? Like, they're so trusting, or just accidental. Like, oh my God.
But it's funny too, because he's on the phone with like a sibling we gather, very much lying, saying like, I got a new job and like things are going good, but I need some money to get nice shoes and nice clothes for the job, and it'll definitely pay off, and this will help me get back on my feet. And much like the little bus story, a ticket, it just seems like another way to score cash, because this guy's a junkie.
A drug addict with a number of different scripts that he can rattle off during a hustle, and he's rattling off this one about needing some new shoes, and it's not going over well. Whoever he's talking to isn't having it.
Yeah, because we get the lines of like, "Of course I'll pay mom back." No, I'm not gonna basically screw you over too or something. And the sibling, just is not having it, and eventually hangs up on him. And he's like, "Oh man!" But as he gets that down part, he gets an upper because one of the car doors is unlocked. Yay! And he dives in there and
and finds a little girl's backpack. And so he steals the backpack. We see him walking out of the sidewalk, just rummaging through it, throwing out objects that don't seem like they're of any value. Mm-hmm. I look like one of them might have been like a thermos, maybe like a lunchbox, just other items. But in the bag there is a children's tablet with some like children's headphones, like just the color on them.
Little cat ears, pink and purple, things. Maybe even like look like a little iPod thing, like an MP3 player.
Yeah, some kind of music player too, right? So the valuable electronics or whatever could be valuable in this bag, which he immediately then tries to pawn.
Which is so funny in this little crackhead moment because he's waiting outside the pawn shop like for it to open up, doing the funniest little dance just side to side, having a grand old time until it opens and he's like, yes, the pawn shop, like my favorite and my drug money place. But he plays him as such an endearing character for being such a dirtbag.
A charming dirtbag.
Yes.
Charming dirtbag for sure. The pawn shop owner, he's not going to buy it. He's taking a look at it, doesn't want to offer him any money. But James is very upset about this.
A bad haggler too, because he's like, come on, man, give me anything for it. $20, 10, 5, like that quick, like back to back. It's like anything.
Yeah, so that doesn't work. He fails. He makes his exit, and that's when we see him going to the alley, and now we see Paul in hot pursuit, but from James's perspective, right? And so starts chasing. We flash to James rousing and coming to after being knocked down into the ground. So it's kind of like we get the idea that maybe he lost memory. He got hit so hard. Like,
he definitely lost consciousness. It was a fun transition there to be because it doesn't like make you dwell on the same scenes you've seen over and over. It does kind of smash here and there, and this reveals little bits that you may not have seen. Yeah, like them fucking with Paul and Justine, or the like just he was knocked out. Yeah, as he's coming to, and is like, what the fuck? Like,
and so we get another flash of Paul making the deal and the warning to James. But then we find James back out on the hunt. You know, the pawn shop didn't work out the first time. It's raining now, and he's out there in the rain. And as he's walking, he comes to Alex's house. And like before, we see the newspapers all over the driveway, implying that no one's been there to pick him up. And of course, someone like James, we can imagine, would immediately pick up on this clue. This is an abandoned house. Bingo. And so he immediately makes his way to front door, tries it. It's locked. He looking around, looks abandoned. So he goes to the backyard and kind of like Justine before is snooping around. And that's actually something that's kind of notable about this film. We get these moments of parallel action, right? Like Justine in Archer's dream sequence, Justine stalking Alex, and then Justine in turn being stalked by Donna. And now this, where we have James doing the same house investigation that Justine did and finding the same thing, right? He finds the same window, right? Like he finds a window and it's like looking in and sees two figures, right?
He doesn't see the figures in this. What happens is he tries like the back door, then he sees he climbs up a trellis and he gets in he gets in a window that way.
Kind of like in the other building trying to find a window. This time he actually finds one and gets in.
And it's very funny too because this is clearly not his first dirtbag rodeo. He finds a bedroom and whips a pillowcase off real quick to make a little loot sack.
Another nice gesture. I like that. It implies that this is a familiar routine with him. He's done this before.
He wanders around taking knickknacks and stuff, and then he finds the same thing Miss Gandy found as he's down there rifling through their DVDs and going, oh, sick, Willow. He turns around, and then is like, oh my God, there are two people sitting on the couch, basically.
Yeah.
But he sees that they're not reacting to what he's doing, and he kind of like curiously for a moment goes over and is like, hey, what are you doing? Or like, are you guys okay? But then he just like is like, well, not my problem, and just goes back to looting for sure, which is funny.
They are strangely, utterly unresponsive, just catatonic, even, just something seriously wrong with them, and not like in a way that a drug addict wouldn't be responsive. They're not, droopy-eyed or delirious. They're just sitting still.
Sitting so still very in like eerie. Such a stiff manner. And it's just funny though, because he's like, oh my God, what's wrong with these people? I'm going to go steal that silverware. Like actually. But he hears a thump upstairs, is kind of startled by it, but
goes back to looting again.
Yeah, it is sort of too bad. She just goes, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna keep stealing things. Okay.
Yeah. On his way past a door, he hears something. He just hears something. He opens the door, and we see stairs going down. So we see that he's found the doorway to the basement, right? And so he's going. He goes down to bed, is looking, and he sees kids just standing still in the basement, just standing still. But then they all turn around and look at him, like they notice his presence and they react to it. And this, of course, panics the hell out of him. It's an eerie scene.
Well, it's very creepy because all the kids, turn at once to look at him. And as a crackhead, because he did, I feel like we missed it somewhere after, or no, this happens afterward. He gets the money for this like silverware stuff. He does get high again here in a bit. At the moment, he's not like violently high. Yeah. But he's just finding terrifying things in this house.
Strange things again and again. Yeah. After the kids all turn around and look at him in response to his presence. He starts running, but the two people on the couch rouse. And they start
he has his like
coming at him.
First of all, it's very funny because when the children look at him, he sort of stumbles back. He's like, "Oh fuck, I'm sorry," and he does the same thing when he sees the parents earlier. Oh, I'm sorry. And then like even when Paul like tackles him and takes him down, he's like, "Oh, fuck, I'm sorry, man. I work here." Like, "Oh fuck," like he just does have a very practiced.
He has a routine for being surprised by people. Or not, or getting caught.
Yeah, or just like having the mask on of like, "Oh, I'm just a good citizen," or whatever. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. But he's just a dirtbag, and so he goes upstairs at this point because he's like, "Wow, that was creepy," and he drops his little pillowcase like he spills some silverware or something. This is another example of a shot where the audience sees things before the character does, because as he's focused on picking up the forks and stuff, in the background we see the two characters on the couch stand up in unison together and then make their way out of frame over there towards James. And it's like another moment where the audience in my theater like gasped and stuff because all of a sudden this is just happening. And James sees it eventually and is like, "Oh my god, oh wow." And as they sort of toddle towards him looking like a sort of zombie again, James does narrowly escape out the front door, which slams behind him. Then we see James back at the pawn shop where actually he's able to offload the silverware and presumably more. Yeah. But as he's getting his $100 counted out off of that, he spies on the wall a poster. And this poster says there's a $50,000 reward for finding these missing children, and his eyes sort of light up.
He's seen a bunch of missing kids recently. I wonder if it's related. Yeah, no, he realizes that he might be able to score $50,000 and
worth of drugs. And then we see
him. So our next scene is him hitting the meth pipe and then calling the number on the poster. So he's frantically relaying his bizarre, harrowing tale to whoever it is that he's talking to, presumably some police clerk. And he's high on meth.
He's so manic.
His story is manic and rambling. But he does claim to have information. He makes some comments about, he doesn't want to go to the police department. He doesn't like cops. He's phobic.
He's phobic of police stations. I don't want to go in there. Which is so funny. He does a terrible job explaining that he really knows where the kids are, to the point that the police person just like, this is another high lunatic. Like, just go to the police station if you know. And the guy's like, all right, but like, what if you guys could bring the money to me and then I will tell you where they are, and like, maybe we could work this out. And it was just he's so endearing while being such a shitbag at the same time. But ultimately, he does seem to get told, no, go to the police station. And so he heads that way. And this is when we cross with Paul there. Yeah. Because Paul spied him from across the street from the police station.
Yeah.
And you may wonder at the time in that chapter, why is James doing this? Why would he be near a police station?
Yeah. So again, another moment of kind of parallel action, kind of like Justine seeing Paul in the distance and being in pursuit. Paul sees James in the distance and is in pursuit, right? It's kind of, again, similar, like Justine was stalking Alex and then is in turn stalked, and now once again we kind of have a similar setup with two different characters, so more parallelism. But yeah, so we James is getting chased by Paul, runs into the woods. It seems like as shaken Paul from his trail, right? But James seems a little lost, and he acts like he's getting the feeling like he's being watched. Like something eerie is in the woods with him, and he's looking around, trying to figure out like what is this? Like, is someone there with him? Like, what's going on? And slowly he turns and sees something just truly strange. It looks like some crazy looking woman, kind of like the woman that we've been seeing in these dream sequences with both Justine and Archer, right? It's the same crazy hair, the crazy face makeup, but they're in the woods.
And she's just smiling and waving to happy Aunt Pennywise out there doing Pennywise the thing. And I mean, he's high, so he's like, oh my God, I'm being chased, I'm high, and this crazy clown lady is out there doing stuff. And so he makes his way back to his tent and dives into it and zips it up. And it's just like, he's kind of self-soothing and is like, that wasn't real. Don't worry about it, James. But as he's trying to calm down, he hears footsteps outside his tent and somebody coming to unzip it in the front. And so he arms himself with 3 needles ready to take that freaky clown bitch down.
He's looking around for just any kind of weapon. And of course he does have some dirty used syringes that he takes like 3 of them and wields them and like kind of like bundles them together into some like horrible shiv, horrible ice pick kind of stabbing instrument, and the figure outside is fidgeting with the zipper and is starting to unzip the flap, and that's when Paul just lunges and stabs out at whatever it is there, thinking that it's that crazy figure he saw in the woods, the Pennywise looking whatever this woman is. No, it is in fact Paul who's found them, or is just opening flaps on the tents in this like homeless community, kind of like, like just that's developed in the woods. And poor guy gets stabbed, not just one more time, but 3 more times with 3 different dirty syringes right on his cheek.
In the face.
Right in the face.
In the face cheek there. Like that. And Paul's obviously mad about this. And then James immediately pivots back to, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Like
for the audience, it's a pretty hilarious moment. Just the schadenfreude of it all. Poor Paul freaking out over getting stabbed once and now right in the face 3 times.
And like he's
hard too.
He's already having a terrible day, and he's been stabbed in the face with more potential hepatitis mobiles. And so he's pissed, and he like levels a shotgun at James down on the ground, and James is like stammering out apologies though, and he does get out, like he's like, I know where those kids are, and Paul at first is like, no you fucking don't, like you're just saying shit, and he's like, no I do, oh my God, and Paul, it seems to click in his head, he's like, if I find these kids, I will be hailed as a hero. And so he starts to sort of intently listen to him and is like, at least check this out. If this is on the off chance that this is true and this little crackhead is right, I'll do this. And so he loads James up in the squad car and checks out his new face holes before asking James if he has AIDS or hepatitis. He kind of even has to get his attention because James is high. He's like, hey, do you have AIDS? Do you have whatever? And then James in the back is like, I don't think so. Like, shit, not that I know of. I think it's the quote, actually. And it's like, great. It's like, give us an old Mitch Hedberg joke. He's like, I don't like getting like AIDS tests. They're scary. And so I get the roundabout AIDS test. So I say, hey, Brian, do you know anybody that has AIDS? And Brian said, no. And he goes, cool. Because you know me. And I'm like, oh, God. Mitch. And this isn't an answer Paul loves. A shit not that I know of. It's not as reassuring to Paul as you would hope. But He's like, fuck it, I'll deal with it later. And so he gets James to direct him to the house. And Paul parks out in front of Alex's house. And remember, his car camera is off, and he didn't call this in to anybody. He does seem to want, perhaps if this is true, to sort of take the glory or whatever, get a win. Paul needs a win from what we've seen. So it seems to come from that place. And James, in his most polite addressing authority tone, is like, "Hey man, by the way, how do I know you won't take the money for yourself?" Talking about the $50,000. And Paul just kind of stares at him for a second, and then just gets out of the car and closes the door. And James is like, "Wait, no, hang on." Can we split this? Paul didn't even seem to consider that part at all. He was thinking of being a hero. But now,
maybe you owe it to him for stabbing him in the face with dirty syringes. But
now he's like, maybe I'll get that too, actually. So Paul gets out and leaves James in the back of his car, just locked up, much to James's very high chagrin.
And night comes and. Still no Paul. Paul approaches the house, knocks on the door, talks to someone. We see this all from James's perspective, so we don't know who he's talking to or what's said. But then Paul enters the house and isn't seen from again. And then it's night, and James is still locked in a squad car, and is understandably frustrated. What the hell's going on? Is he just being abandoned in the car? But then. That's when we see some activity. The front door opens, and from it emerges Paul, but something's off.
It's that same darkened doorway thing where it seems like nobody opened the door almost. It stays dark for a second. And it leaves the audience's imagination just for a moment there every time, what's going to come out of that door? And I think that's a fun and sort of scary element to this. That's a very simple element that you could recreate or whatever. But it just is pure darkness of the door every time.
With it being with the camera being in full zoom. And so it really makes the door seem very far away from you, which makes it seem more out of your reach and uncontrollable. So whatever emerges from it, you can't do anything about it. It's a very interesting quality of menace and kind of dread. That just done with kind of a simple camera element. I love it.
But Paul comes out of the darkened door, much like the Mombi did, and drags James toward the Lily house while seeming to be possessed himself in that same way. He does not have...
Yeah, he approaches James seemingly aggressively, angrily, kind of hurriedly approaching the car, forcefully opening the door, and then just snarling as he's dragging James out, snarling like an animal, kind of like Marcus in the scene previous to this at the gas station, just animal-like, right? But then it cuts.
Oh yeah, he's being dragged by his ankles towards the door as James is screaming "Help me, anybody!" This does seem to be in the dead of night again. And right as he's getting near the door, that's when we cut. It's a very, again, perfect example of something's about to happen. We're about to be in the house and maybe learn about this, but we don't.
Crap.
But fuck you, viewer, actually.
So we get another title card, this time Marcus, the principal that we've just seen, crazy-eyed, seemingly rabid. Something definitely strange had happened. We see him on the phone. He's in the grocery store. He's pushing a cart, and we can. This is the call that he had earlier with Justine.
Yes,
where he tells her as a courtesy he's going to forget the call. Right, but we're seeing it from his perspective in the grocery store. He is with his husband. They are shopping together. We see their gold wedding rings. Right, so they're very conspicuously married. Right, they're a couple, and they're having a nice couple moment. Right, the Marcus's husband is kind of playfully putting groceries into the cart and showing him things as he's talking.
Which fruity pebbles do you want, babe? I see you're on the phone, but it's interesting because we see that this conversation didn't end in the place it ended on Justine's scene. He keeps talking to her more. So as Justine pushes past and is like, I'm going to forget this call ever happened, she kind of pulls out something and is like, hey, like, you're a mandatory reporter. Like, don't you have to report this because you know somebody is potentially in danger or a bad situation, like a wellness thing. And he's like, come on, Justine, like, are you really going to go there? But Justine pushes. She's like, yes, I think something bad is happening in the Lily house and with Alex, and I think you at least need to do some sort of check or some whatever.
Kind of, you know, as far as narrative goes, he gets checked on his own idiom. He is the kind, caring principal who's very much about the rules, but it's still very much about caring. And nothing like a child protective services welfare check to hit him on both fronts, right?
Yep.
So yeah, he yes, as Justine mentions, he must report this, right? There's been a report, and so he has to follow through with it.
What he says is, he's like, I'm not going to go to the house and make a house call, but I will call Alex's parents in. I'll have a talk with them at the school. Is that okay? Like, is that enough? And Justine's like, yes, that's good. And so he does that. So we find him in school next, where his receptionist says his 2:00 appointment is here, and she's real weird about it. Like, he kind of is like, "Oh yeah, whatever, send him in." And
she's making a face.
Yeah,
like she's off put in a way that isn't clear why. But as we soon see, it is actually very obvious why she's this off put, because enters Gladys. The crazy woman that we've seen multiple times, except that now she's in the flesh, and not as a crazy spectacle as we've seen, but still maybe even crazier because the actual person is here, and this character is just wild.
Still wild looking.
Yeah.
The makeup's crazy, and then she wears such bright colors when she's out, like, trying to present herself in public to authority figures or whatever. It's like she's just trying to be a human almost in many ways.
Yeah.
She's got a crazy wig on that is styled so oddly and is very clearly a wig. The brightest, like, or the biggest ass, like, turquoise, like, huge circular rimmed glasses.
Yeah. Her appearance is very gaudy and flashy and loud. Her appearance is very loud. She's very, very conspicuous. I mentioned it will look like a wig, but even the wig is cut in a very strange way.
Oh yeah. She's got drawn on eyebrows. She has lipstick done in a way that is, like, messy, but also seems to be done to, like, make her have bigger, fuller lips in a way that just is not achieved.
It's purposeful, but it looks like an accident at the same time.
It looks like she was asked to get into quick drag in the dark. It's like
in like a wind tunnel or something. Or something. Exactly.
But yes, it's not Alex's parents. It's Gladys. It's our freaky clown woman rocking this jank wig, and we now see this as a real person that's been popping up in people's dreams and in the woods and stuff. And Marcus is like, hey, this is fun. Who are you? And she says she's Alex's aunt. And when the principal kind of clarifies politely, it's like, oh, you're not his legal guardian. She's like, oh, no, I'm not. He's like, I need to speak to, like, in my mandatory reporting role and via my very living by the rules, I have to speak to the legal guardian. I have to speak to the parents in this. And she goes on to say and sort of be like, oh, well, I'm staying with Alex because his parents are feeling very unwell lately. And specifically, she says they have a touch of the consumption.
Touch of consumption, which is a very, very bizarre thing to say.
This was something that was, like, said in the 1400s.
Yeah, it's a very antiquated way of referring to tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Which it's we're not sure if she's saying that's just to be funny or what, but it definitely stands out as a anachronism for sure.
I think this went out of style in, like, the 1920s or something whenever I was looking this up. And so it's a very interesting double entendre in the sense of, like, we find more eventually about what the second one could mean with Gladys and what's happening with her. But the first one is just like she's using it, like you said, an anachronism in the sense of, like, way out of. It hints about how old she is potentially.
Just by way of it, just because it's so antiquated, it's odd that she's referencing it. So you immediately have questions about who this character is. But like you said, consumption, as we will come to understand, it's foreshadowing. Right? There is actually consumption happening of a sort. But yeah, the principal, Marcus, immediately notes that, consumption. How interesting.
He was like, I'm not quite sure what that is. And he says, I think, didn't Settlers on the Oregon Trail get that? And like, kind of just is like.
Yeah, so he has a almost unintentionally very, very catty retort, too, without maybe even realizing it. But yeah, so he knows that there's something odd about this person for sure. But Gladys is just very insistent that in a very kind of hard, flinty way that the parents are not available. And they cannot be made public.
They're inaccessible to calmly explain to the principal that he does, in fact, he just keeps going on. He pushes past. Is like, I need to talk to the parents somehow, some way, because there's been a report filed about wellness for Alex in the house. And this is where Gladys seems to get nervous and like glances over at some ribbons and items he has in the office. Yeah.
When Marcus starts talking about the authorities, that's when she starts looking about the room for options. Like this like kind of triggers a little panic moment where she has to respond and like think of a plan. And she catches a look at the ribbons. They're the reading achievement ribbons. So I guess the principal was awarded these, or the school was awarded these, but they're in his office.
And so that happens. We just get a quick shot of that. You're like, that's weird. But he then offers, Marcus does, to come over to the house and talk in person with them if it would make it easier. And Gladys, instead of answering that, sort of asks, hey, who made the complaint? And says this is very upsetting that this was reported. But that's really the end of the scene, as we see for now, because we then cut to...
what is Marcus's home with his husband. I don't know if the husband's ever named, by the way.
I do. His name is Terry. He gets it a little bit here.
Okay.
But the shot we get is this infamous hot dog tray of the cut there, where we have 7 hot dogs, beautifully zigzagged with mustard, 4 cookies, a big chunk of Ruffles chips, a bowl of carrots, and a massive bowl of ranch dressing, like much bigger than the carrot things, to the point where it's like those hot dogs were probably getting dunked in ranch too and whatnot.
The cookies too, maybe.
And they're cookies. It's just the cutest little tray. Like this was the most like commented on thing of the movie I feel like I saw. And it's kind of a reference to that Trevor Moore thing. Trevor Moore, the one that died, his friend, there was a very funny Whitest Kid You Know sketch where he is playing a doctor and he's trying to tease out of another one of his castmates, Timmy, just how many hot dogs he eats in a day. And Timmy's playing it off and he's like, I don't eat that many hot dogs or whatever. And he's like, all right, let's just go through your day. Let's talk about how many hot dogs you eat. And he's like, well, I mean, I have one for breakfast. And then he's like, I guess when I'm walking to work, sometimes I stop at the hot dog stand and get like a, pre-work hot dog snack. And then he's like, and what do you eat for lunch? And he's like, oh, I guess I eat something else. And he's like, do you eat any hot dogs? And he's like, well, okay, I have 2 hot dogs. And then he just goes on and it's kind of a reference seemingly to that, where it goes on, but it's very funny. And many people, like one of my straight friends told me, he was like, is that what being gay is like? Do you guys bring each other like 7 hot dogs? And I said, sometimes.
It's like, yeah, we do.
Yeah. Like he seemed really intrigued. He's like, damn, being gay seems nice if this is what happens.
Delightful snack trays.
But as the hot dog is on screen, we get this voiceover. We start to get some real clear foreshadowing from these things. And the voiceover says, it is now that all free will has been lost. The ant moves under the direction of a mind separate from their own. Here, the ant initiates its death grip as the parasitic cordyceps continues to feed off its body. As this is a nature doc that they are watching on screen.
Yeah, so we get some very heavy thematic quality from the TV for sure. Very foreshadowing of something imminent, as we're about to discover. Marcus and Terry, they have their matching Mickey and Minnie T-shirts. They got their matching kind of hoodies.
Disney gays, it seems like
it's a very comfy nesting moment at home, homebodying for sure. But
As they sit down to chow down on this delicious plate, before Marcus can take a bite, there's a knock at the door. And it's Gladys on a Saturday here. They know. They're like, it's you. Like, oh, boy. And Gladys goes on having a story about missing the bus. It's like going on. And Marcus kind of resists letting her in and is like, oh, that's sad. Please leave. But the husband falls for the sob story, Terry, and a request of having some water where Marcus is like, no. He's like, of course you can have some water. And he invites her inside. And as a horror fan, this piqued my interest of certain things like vampires or demons have to be invited her inside.
Crap. You offered her water. Crap. Yeah. No, crap.
And so she comes in and starts complimenting the decor in sort of a doddering, manic way. And when offered the water, he's like, I'll get you a glass. She goes, oh, no, can I have a bowl? In the most psychopathic, again, pretending to be human sort of way that takes them both aback. They're like,
and like her performance has just been crazy to this point. Like she's in a panic and is like seemingly frail at the door, and then when she's invited in, she immediately perks up looking at their home like, oh, you have a beautiful home, oh, I love it. And so she goes from desperate and panicky and frail, like she's about to die of thirst, to suddenly very happy and bubbly. And then the strange ass request, oh, can I have my water in a bowl? Just all over the place. And at this point, it's like a record screeching to a halt with this request. Like everyone just goes silent, just honestly, so the audience just kind of. I have a feeling it's like almost for the audience to realize, wait, what?
Excuse me?
What she just asked for? Yeah.
Yes, and she wants to resume the conversation from yesterday and says she's been thinking about it a lot and that Alex's father is going to come in on Monday to speak with him, while also clarifying that, hey, Marcus, you haven't called CPS yet, right?
Yeah, she's very insistent about pursuing this question. You haven't called the authorities, right? The authorities don't know, right? They haven't been involved, right?
Comes up 3 times at least, and she starts to seem less and less doddering as it goes on. And on the final one, she for sure is like...
her voice is developing a kind of sinister ring to it. It has none of its frailness from before, none of its manic energy either. She's getting, by degrees, very cold and focused. Mm-hmm. This character's been all over the place affect-wise, and this is the most unsettling by far.
And as she's been talking about this, she's gotten stuff out of her bag. She has a little thorny stick that she's winding something around.
Yeah, she has this satchel with her, like a traveling bag, and she's bringing out components. One is this like a very sharp twig, like a twig with these very sharp spines growing out of it. One of the things that comes out as she's wrapping around is Marcus notices and is like, is that my ribbon that you're wrapping around this stick thing here? And that's when Gladys is like, you haven't asked the authorities, right? And as she is wrapping this ribbon quite tightly, she cuts her palm with the thorns. The spines on the twig.
Which causes Terry to shout out an alarm.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, get some water, get some whatever. And all Gladys says, no, don't get that. Can you give me a rag?
Yeah.
It was an accident. Yeah, she says that.
It's an accident.
She very clearly just cut her own palm
very
open
coyly.
With this stick. Says it's an accident, and instead is like, oh, just give me a rag. And so Terry grabs a rag to staunch her accidental wound, she's claiming. But as he comes forward, she kind of leans in and snips a lock off his hair.
Yeah, as he's going for the rag, we see her pull out these really big shears from her bag. And as he approaches, she kind of darts the scissors at him and gets a lock of hair. Startles the hell out of him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Terry's like, she cut my hair.
This crazy bitch
she cut my hair.
Yes.
He's just very upset about this. As she's processing this, Marcus moves to call 911. But before he can do so, he's activated of sorts by Gladys ringing a tiny little bell with a rune on it.
Yeah. We see what seems like a ritual being performed, just step by step, right? The twig, wrapping this ribbon that Gladys has apparently stolen from Marcus's office around it, cutting herself and then smearing her blood on it. And the last part of this, she retrieves a golden bell from one of her belongings. And on this bell, it's inscribed what looks like a triangle and the number 6 on it. And she holds the bell and just rings it just once. And immediately Marcus drops the phone, and it looks like he's having a seizure. Like he's standing and is just like having a seizure all of a sudden. Like he can't move. He's kind of twitching, like his muscles are in kind of like a rigor state, like they're locking, and like something's happening to him.
I mean, he's staring up at the ceiling. His arms go out in the AV shape that
we've seen before. Like, so it's kind of it's reminiscent of this eerie body posture that we've seen already.
And Terry tries to call out to him and figure out what's going on, but as he does so, Gladys wraps the lock of Terry's hair she got around the spike wand stick and snaps it in half.
Yeah, and the bell is kind of, it seems like puts Marcus in some kind of standby condition, and then the snapping of the twig with Terry's hair around it just activates him, turns towards Terry, and it's just the animal that we saw earlier when Marcus was trying to kill Justine. It's just a different person. This is the snarling animal who immediately is grabbing Terry, hands around his throat, throwing him to the ground, trying to strangle him. He's holding Terry on, pinning him to the ground over him, and pukes out some evil-looking black sludge or liquid from his mouth all over Terry. A very just almost demonic moment.
Yeah. I feel like I don't say this word out loud often. It's like an older fantasy word. Is it Icor? Icor? ICHOR?
Yeah, Icor. Vitriol.
This is what I wrote down for the black stuff on his face.
Like Icor, vitriol, or some kind of, yeah.
But it's terrible because we've seen this is the cutest little gay relationship, and he's just choking his husband out, vomits this black, horrible stuff on his face, and then he just starts headbutting him to death. He is clearly, like we saw him hyper-focus on Justine, he's doing this to Terry, and now we see why his face was so covered in blood and why he looked in the state he did. When
black smear on his lips too, right? It's like, well, okay, now we get it, I guess, like where that came from.
And it's awful, and Gladys is just in the background, sort of just like calmly putting her stuff back in her bag, doing whatever. This is just a regular day for Gladys or whatnot.
Just tidying up and getting ready to hit the road again. Barely glances at this carnage happening. At some point, she takes the twig and puts it in the water in the bowl. And this has the effect of causing Marcus to cease this killing script that he's on. But then takes another lock of hair out, wraps it around the largest piece of the twig still left.
It's a blonde one.
It's a blonde one.
We know where this came from.
We can guess that this is the hair snip from Justine earlier. Snaps the twig. Marcus is activated once again. Immediately goes running off. So it's quite a gory scene. This gets me to another big quibble I had, because up until this point there are no deaths at all. Like we're more than halfway through the film, I think, at this point. Like we're over the 50% mark.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. And there have been no deaths. No one has died except now the gay couple. One half of the gay couple has died.
Is that his face caved in too? Because as Marcus is exiting the scene, we see it just like a horrific thing.
Yeah, and so I'm immediately thinking, oh wow, we're getting some kill your gays trope nonsense here. This I gotta say, I was actually pretty off put by this when I was watching the film in the theater, because again, there are no other deaths until this. The second character who dies is Marcus. So basically, the first two characters who die are the two gay characters and the gay couple, and just really, come on. And I'll get to this later. This film threatened to end with no other characters dying except the gay couple. It was like 90% through by the time there was another death. Just okay, really. So I was concerned about this film, and just I still have more to say about this
because the little child at the beginning is like, some people die in weird ways. Oh, they were all gay. She forgot to throw that in or something about.
Yeah, and just. Anyway, and it kind of gets me to another trope that I'll talk about, and I'll mention another film about it. Like it's like we've moved on from the kill your gays trope, and now it's kind of coming back in the form of a gay couple where one half of that couple has to kill the other. And I'll talk about it. Seemed like
you're talking about like the Jonathan Groff film with like Dave Bautista and stuff.
The M. Night Shyamalan film, and it reminded
in the cabin
me,
or something.
Knock on the cabin door, and it reminded me of that another gay couple. One of them being confronted with having to kill the other to save the world from biblical apocalypse, and it's like. We've retired the kill your gays trope only to bring it back in this form. And it's,
kill each other gays trope.
The gays kill each other trope. And it just, I don't know. We can talk about whether this film is guilty of it or if it needs to be indicted for that, I don't know. But I definitely had this like twang of unease watching it, at least the first time in the theater.
I get it. I think at one point in the script, because I looked up a lot of stuff, and it's like always, I think at one point the principal was just going to be straight or whatever, and so it's meant to be upsetting in any capacity. Like it is if you just put what could have been a happy woman in the supermarket and everything's showing them, and could have been a woman serving him delightful hot dogs. It wasn't, because that's ours. Actually, it seems like, at least according to my straight friend, but
the fantastic appetizer plate, that's ours. You can't have that, straights,
right? Yeah. Well, it's, for one thing, we have a clear antagonist now. We finally have painted Gladys as the sort of the alluded to, the scene for a moment in all of these bits,
the unknown center of this mystery, the missing piece to how all this could be happening and how it could be possible. And so we get an interesting, like you said, Marcus sprints out the door, going out for Justine. A kind of a funny thing where this man covered in blood is just sprinting through suburbia. This is actually this is a very kind of like darkly hilarious moment in the film. Like Marcus just goes from point A to point B in a straight line, or as close to as possible, because that's how everyone Naruto runs through this, just straight line if they can. And so he's running past multiple crowds, multiple groups of people. There are people having brunch, and they're outside.
There's like a baseball game of kids.
There's a baseball game. There's like shoppers out and about, and they're all just like, what the fuck? As he's like running by. And it's just again and again, just gasp and just, yeah.
He also has like these crazy bulging unblinking eyes on top of like being covered in blood and stuff.
These are some severe crazy eyes.
I wondered for a little bit, like if they cast, if the actors, like one of the things was like, you need to be able to do the crazy eye thing like some people can do, like human tricks.
Well, I was wondering that, like, is that prosthetic? Is that like...
It ended up being CGI. Yeah. I found,
okay.
Because I was like, okay.
I was like, there's got to be, it's got to be like effect makeup or prosthetic or something. CGI. Okay.
For sure. Cool. And I was fine with that when I looked it up. I'm like, okay. But I've seen people do this. Yeah, like the creepy human tricks. Yeah, where they're just like, watch this. And like, oh, no, push those back in there. Pop that back in. Like, I don't need to see this. But yeah. Deeply unsettling. And so after he runs through suburbia and terrifies these people, we're back at the gas station scene.
Yeah.
And we now see the continuation of it. And there's some really funny stuff that happens in this too.
Yeah.
Because like we go through the whole scene. He's choking out Archer, and he seems to dispatch him in the parking lot. And Naruto runs inside the gas station, then murder Justine.
Yeah.
Justine asks for help from the clerk, who seems to think like, fuck that. But right as she's like weaving through the thing, kind of gets to a back door. It's locked. She seems cornered by Marcus, and he's about has her dead to rights when out of frame comes Archer, tackling him to one of the drink refrigerator glass windows that are all over convenience stores. And this gives Justine time to run out back to the front and out of the store as the clerk says, "Get out of my store." And Justine, instead of just still sprinting out, takes just a moment to say, "Fucking help me." like, what are you doing?
Interesting little detail. I don't know if you noticed the lottery jackpot. It was 666 million.
Oh, okay.
Just cute.
There's some interesting bits scattered about there. There's one I'll make note of in the Alex chapter. But very funny. The fucking help me. 'Cause, I don't know if this convenience store worker has just seen some shit and some crackheads or whatever and is like, gotta clean up again. But
I don't want to get involved in this shit.
Yes, exactly. It's very much that. It's like, this isn't my battle. I don't know, whatever. But, but Justine does make it outside and gets into her car's passenger side, kind of right as Marcus catches up to her. And Marcus shows the dedication further baked into the spell, as if headbutting his partner to death didn't, because he punches out a car window.
Yeah, he's basically trying to crawl through the window to get into the car. So
and she manages to make it over into her driver's seat and start driving away. And he's chasing her even then. He's just running down the road after her, Naruto style, and she speeds off in her witchmobile, though. And Archer emerges from the gas station then with a bloodied hand and gets in his truck to pursue Marcus. And in another rear tracking shot, essentially, he's pursuing Marcus, and Marcus runs into an intersection and gets absolutely destroyed by a woman in an SUV.
Just high speed hit by a car. We see Archer approaching the scene of this accident. The woman is just in hysterics, and Marcus's head is just destroyed,
exploded. Yeah,
like it got hit dead on and then driven over by all four tires, and it's just smeared and just ruptured, and pretty gruesome. Yeah, very, very gruesome.
Certainly not great when you talk about the two gays dying first. They die in real gruesome ways.
Extremely gruesome ways, yeah. And so as a gay member of the audience, it definitely stood out. And I was certainly wondering, and I had to take a step back at the end of this, and I was thinking to myself, there's a lot I didn't like about this film, but was this the root of it? And I'm glad we're doing this podcast, because I wanted to give the film a fair shake. I know this thing really was very off-putting to me, but I didn't want to imagine things I didn't like about the film, just because of it. So, I don't make you feel old by saying this. I think you lived through more of the kill your gays tropes that was real apparent in a lot of the horror films, because you have stronger reactions to this. It too was upsetting to me. It's real upsetting to you. This is something that I just part of my backstory. This is a backstory about me, Tommy, trying to appreciate media as a teenager and then young adult. And just during the 90s into the aughts was such a desolate time for gay representation, and just gays not being the butt of every damn joke. And in so many films, right? And the kill your gays trope, it's notorious because of how awful it is, but just really because of how prolific it was.
Yeah.
It's still, if we just take all filmic media and we count how many times the gays die versus how many times they survive and are better off at the end of the film, man, we got a lot of catching up to do still. Like this list is just dreadfully lopsided. And it used to be just even abominably worse. And
it's so rare to have subverted it too. I forget the name of the film that was on when we were hanging out in Vegas recently, but on screen was a movie where Israel called out. He was like, "Oh, this is a movie I love because the black gay man survives. He's the final girl, essentially, in a way that turned that all on its head." Because
was it like Night of the Demon? Was it like a Dario Argento film? I think
I'd never seen it, so I can't confirm that. But it was subversive for that because the black character lived, and he happened to be gay as well.
Exactly for two reasons.
And so that movie was like a retort to that trope in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's just, and it's still to this day. And so, yeah, I am sensitive to this, and this is just, man, just gay representation. It's come a long way, but it just used to be so dreadful. And just whenever I start getting like a whiff of the kill your gays trope, yeah, I ain't got no time for that.
It turns you off so hard, and like the one that stands out to me when we talk is It Too, because it happens immediately in that film.
Jeez,
and
fucking hell.
In the context of that universe, where like the evil in the town makes them worse against minorities and worse against like
and in it too, it's just so it's the camera work and the directorial and the aesthetic and all the different decisions are about serving that character up for ridicule, like serving up the couple in it too, in the opening sequence up for ridicule by the audience. And so not only is it a gruesome moment of violence, but it's also the film is an antagonist. The film itself is an antagonist against you as a gay audience member, and it's just gross. No, there's maybe a lot to talk about with it too as well, but yeah, no, you are correct. I get very sensitive to this stuff for a reason.
Yeah,
just
and I mean it's very understandable, and that's why I say again, it's not that I say that to make you feel old. You've got a decade about on me there in the consuming it, because I was around in the 90s, 2000s, see just a bunch of horrible shit. Yeah. But also I was a very sheltered religious child where I was not allowed to see a lot of horror things or a lot of stuff that, like, I just have gaps. Like, I mean, I have a very huge secular music gap among other things. Of like, I was always on like Christian radio, but like I hardly saw any horror movies, and I've just been catching up on them later as we've gone, and so I didn't get to experience quite as much of that in many ways. But it's just something I've noticed, because I'll note it and I'll be like, that was shitty, but it really hits you.
So and again, that's something I wanted to talk about with this film, so there you go. But
I get it. So we are now in the hospital afterwards.
Let's rejoin our film after this gruesome scene. Marcus getting hit by the car and whatnot. We find Archer at the hospital, getting checked up after his brawl with Marcus, and Justine is waiting for him in the waiting room, and outside they basically just hash it out. They kind of just finally talk about their perspectives, and now their perspectives are kind of aligning and intersecting. So,
they're trauma bonded for sure at this point is the thing.
Extremely.
Because you don't expect, like, Archer's being treated for his cuts, and as he emerges to leave, in the waiting room, it pans over and we see Justine. And you're like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And they walk outside together, and there seems to be at least a smidgen of trust, or aspersions perhaps slightly cast off of Justine for Archer, as they leave together and are just talking about, well, that was crazy. That was a weird thing to happen, right? And Justine, like, thanks Archer for saving her, while Archer kind of downplays it and is like, well, what else could I do? Like, and I mean, we see through these actions, he's a good guy. He's just a very, he's in an emotional, like, whirlwind at the moment, for one thing.
There's still the mystery of, is his child dead? Will he ever see his child alive again? Like, it's just always just kind of unpinning all this, like, kind of forceful action on his part, for sure.
Right.
But as it turns out, these two characters, they are really finally coming together, and they both have an important perspective and a way that the film kind of plays with this idea. Like, Marcus has this theory about the intersection of these kids' paths, like their trajectories might reveal something. And Justine happens to have the other piece of this equation. Well, the house where they might all be meeting, she knows this house, and it's Alex's.
Yeah, she sees a house in the Circle area where he's like, it's probably something here, and she's like, that's Alex's house.
Yeah, she knows immediately which house that is, and so they both have a key piece of this mystery, and together, combined, they're able to maybe pursue it.
They also talk a little before that about, like, just why this is all weird, because Justine, for instance, says that was wildly out of character for Marcus. I, like, just talked to him. He would never do that. I've never seen anything like that. And Archer kind of he says things like Marcus was weaponized, like a heat-seeking missile locked onto Justine, and another one of those like, maybe it's like a weapon reference thing. Which I didn't ever feel like these came off heavy-handed to the point where you're like, that's the name of the movie. Like at times with stuff, because Wade loves his B movies.
Honestly, if you subtract from his dream that big floating gun, it's not heavy-handed at all, and it's just I keep on thinking that it feels heavy-handed, and I really think it just comes back to that big floating gun.
It's the weird gun, yeah. It's like
it's just like just get rid of that, and suddenly it's a lot more elegant. It really is. Anyway, yeah,
yes,
we're gonna have to talk about the things I would like to cut from this film. Ideally, that's going to be at the.
I think most people would agree with you on that one. Of like, it could be the same film without that there, because it doesn't really point to anything clearly ever when you go through the whole film. But
that's another gripe I have. I had that same complaint about a number of elements that could just been cut from the film, and it would have been the same film or better. We'll get to that at the end.
Yeah, but as Justine's like, oh my God, Alex lives in this house. This leads us right into a title card of Alex.
Yeah.
So we're not quite jerked around this time. There's nothing urgent happening on screen.
This is the one title card that actually I feel like made sense, and I was glad to see, and it felt good that I saw it.
Yeah.
Because it's just we find Gladys. She's clearly the mechanic behind all this tragedy and odd stuff happening, but the real story is Alex's, and we're finally getting this. Finally, like, just the real heart of the story is now this narrative, this storyline, and it's been withheld for a long time, so.
Yeah, and he seems to be at the heart of it all. People keeps ending up at his house. We get the vibe from his interactions with Justine or whatever that something is going on when he's like, don't follow me. I'm not trusting an adult. I can't talk about stuff. And it's we get another direct line of foreshadowing here that's becoming less and less subtle as these chapters go on, where the first line we hear in Alex's chapter is from Miss Gandy's class, where she says, who else can think of an example of a parasite?
Yeah. It immediately, kind of like the nature documentary that Marcus and Terry were watching about ants infected with cordyceps mushrooms and it altering their behavior and personality.
Yeah, because we now have a more clear picture of the fact that Gladys is probably a parasite on the Lily House and is like infesting people's minds and such, because it talked about how the ants were being controlled essentially by something that wasn't them.
Yeah.
And we see Alex being bullied, albeit a little feebly, by a boy when Alex like, stop it. And the boy just follows Alex going, stop it. Stop it.
But boy with long hair that we now know is Matthew.
This little prick is Matthew. This is Archer's son. And we see that perhaps maybe his father could have told him he loved him more.
Yeah, maybe he should have. Might have helped things in a bit. Yeah, exactly. But Alex makes his way outside. He's carrying what looks like a science project.
A little diorama.
Yeah.
As a community fan, I love a good diorama. One of the funnier lines of that show is when Shirley's like, my kids make way less dioramas than I do, and they're in grade school.
Excellent. So he with diorama, he's outside. He's waiting for a parent to pick him up, and his father arrives. Has a cute nickname for him, like Axeman.
Axeman.
Yeah. I couldn't tell if it was Axeman or X-Man, like Alex Man.
It was
X-Man.
Axe, but like it's a weird thing to, I don't know. But it's very cute. He has a little nickname. He asks him about his day. And if he kissed any supermodels jokingly to get him to open up a bit.
Some dad joke, some dad humor.
Oh my God, he has such dad jokes. Like he has one here in a bit that's just very funny to me. But this is where we learn, while in the car with these two, how Gladys entered the picture. She is purportedly Alex's mom's aunt. And neither Alex nor the dad have ever met Gladys. And the dad implies he doesn't really think the mom knows her very well either, frankly.
There's a real just mystery around her. Like, just left wondering, is she even a member of this family? Is it all just a lie or some part of her wickedness? I don't know. But yeah, supposedly as a distant relative of them, or is an aunt but estranged. A tenuous connection.
We're kind of told that she's like dying maybe, or just sick. Like they're taking care of her because she has nowhere else to go. And Alex is like, how long is she gonna live here and stuff, and the dad's like, I don't know, buddy. But they make it home, and my favorite dad joke from him that comes out is when they both come inside, he says to his wife, "Hey, I found a kid." And the mom's like, "Oh, my 2 boys." It's very cute and sweet about it. But she seems a very good, interested mom as she asks about his day and asks him to clean his room. But very notably, I'll call out in these scenes, these are very well-lit scenes, and they have a warm glow to them whenever the parents are here.
Yeah. The color tone inside the house is very moody and evocative throughout the film, right? And earlier, it looks grim and sickly and abandoned. But in this moment before the tragedy has unfolded, it's a golden moment of family.
It's a very golden tone. Obviously, there's no newspapers up on the windows yet and such, and so it just I call it out because it is going to have contrast throughout this like little next bit of the story and such. But Alex is into bed and is reading in there, but he gets up when he hears a car door and he sees his dad helping Gladys move her stuff in, notably carrying a big potted plant of hers, a little shrub thing. And so when he wakes up, Alex goes into the parents' room and hears them sort of talking about Gladys, where the dad's like, "She looks really bad. We're not really a hospice like place and stuff. I don't know about this." And the mom sort of insists that her mother would have taken care of Gladys, and so she will too. And then Alex is noticed by the parents, and
let's see.
Well, what happens is
So I'm trying to think of the first time that Gladys and Alex actually meet each other.
Well, after he leaves the parents' room, he is walking down the hallway and he sees Gladys' door ajar.
Yeah.
And he peeks in here.
That's right, yeah.
He sees that awful red wig on a stand for one, and he's kind of like panning through and just seeing what he can see through the gap.
Yeah.
He sees the potted plant by the window, and as he pans his vision over to see Gladys herself, kind of going up her feet, up by her hands, as he reaches her face, she's looking directly at him, and it startles the boy, and he jumps back and closes the door because she also, again, wigs off here. She's a decrepit, bald, old woman there that looks very scary to a young boy of 8 or 9 for sure. Yeah,
but just also that she serves crazy face. Throughout the film.
And so this, again, Alex like worriedly asks when his dad's driving him to school, like, "Is this going to be forever? When are we getting rid of that lady?" But dad's like, "I don't know, man. Like, we'll see. Probably no more than a month," he says.
He talks like she might die.
Yes.
Like she's old and she might die, so don't worry about it. She's not long for this world. Yeah.
Yes. So we're taking a class with Alex. We see Archer's son continue to be a little dick as Justine says pencils down on a test, and Matthew spins right around and shucks his pencil into Alex's head.
Again, someone should have told him that he was a good boy a few more times.
Hug your children.
I think that's a takeaway from this movie, I think, for sure. But later in the day, after school, Alex is outside again, waiting to be picked up. But this time, nobody shows up. He's there. He's waiting. Nobody shows up. It gets later. He's the only one there. A teacher notes, "Is anyone going to pick you up? And you got a ride." He eventually just has to walk home. He takes the long way. He walks all the way back home, and when he returns is when we get the first moment of just the lighting in the house as we experience it throughout the film.
It's a very darkened home.
The house it looks abandoned, and we can see like Gladys's things just kind of all over the house, like just piles of her stuff in the living room. There are newspapers not on the windows yet, but Alex finds his parents at the dining table.
They're sitting around there,
and they're just sitting there, just sitting there, calm, not moving, as we've seen his parents previously, on the couch. Alex approaches them, tries talking with them, and the father responds in a way that's very like he's drugged.
Yeah,
or something.
they managed to eke out a greeting, but it's
Yeah.
not much, and it's like the same thing that they asked him the day before, and so
Yeah.
it's like, is this a controlled response? Is this something that I don't know? But yeah, their eyes are
Yeah.
reddened. They look very odd, and
They
Alex is quite
seem-
worried about them.
They seem either confused or out of it or delirious or something. Something's very wrong. Like they're very distant spiritually, maybe, just in some sense they're talking to him from a great distance.
Right. It's very listless and low energy.
Yeah.
And conversely, Gladys is high energy now.
Yeah.
She's no longer on her deathbed, seemingly.
She's
up and talking and such.
revitalized. She has a manic energy about her. Her lips are wet. It's like they're on heroin and she's on coke or meth. Like from like previous interactions with James, drug addict. It kind of reminded me of that. Like, and this is a film with all kinds of parallel action, right? Two characters who seem to have the same moment, right? Either by like a dream or pursuer then becoming pursued. It's like we see like another kind of drug addict, someone who's like manic on a recent high,
For sure, she's got a hit of some kind.
She just took a hit of something,
And so Gladys tells Alex they're fine and to sit down at the table, but instead, he, more concerned about his father, grabs a glass of water and throws it right in his face to basically be like, "Dad, wake up! Dad, react!" And the father doesn't react.
Or just very lazily, like just not what you'd expect from having water thrown at you.
That's true. Like after like 5 seconds, he slowly reaches a hand up and like sort of wipes it off. But this gets Alex admonished by Gladys and sent upstairs without dinner. And at first, he's kind of like, "No, like who are you to tell me to do anything?" But he's a very tiny boy, and so like he's So he decides to go along with it because I don't imagine he could do much potentially in this situation. And
what do you do in that situation as a young child? Like what are your options? And so. Yeah, he goes back to his room. We find him next morning. He wakes up. He comes back downstairs. His parents seemingly have not moved an inch. They're just sitting at the table still, like they were there all throughout the night. Gladys is there again, sitting at the head of the table, like waiting for him to arrive. Like she's prepared and has been awaiting his arrival. And Alex takes the chair opposite hers on the other side of the table, like it's a family dinner almost. And this is where Gladys makes a certain threat to him. He isn't to tell anyone anything about any of this, anything he's seen, her, anything about her, anything about his parents. He can't tell anyone anything. And to demonstrate that he must do what he is being told to do, she
wraps
the
more hair.
She does
the
the
ritual with the hair wand thing.
Wraps hair around a twig, and then snaps it, right? But wraps, we can presume, the parents' own hair around the twig, and they begin to they just not missing a beat, take a fork and just start stabbing their faces.
They fork their own faces.
Oh boy, yeah. It's gruesome. We get more face stabbing, kind of like Paul being stabbed with syringes. We get, once again, characters being stabbed in the face with sharp, pointy objects. So more grim parallel.
We do have a lot of face holes, or at least gaping neck, face, anything holes in this movie. It's a big old theme, I suppose.
But witnessing this, Alex tries to stop it. He can't. He grabs at his parents' hands, and he can't stop them from stabbing their own faces. And so he agrees. He promises. He's not gonna say anything. He's not going to say anything, right? Gladys has made this demonstration of her power, and it's grim and terrible, and he has no options. So, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he tries to stop the father unsuccessfully. Eventually, Gladys throws the wand in a bowl of water, now demonstrating twice. This is sort of how you end it, how you end their sort of murder rage that you've set out here.
Yeah. Notably, doing this in front of Alex, and so he sees it, and this is going to be something that is recurring. Is Gladys flexing her power before Alex, but Alex observing, almost studiously, like observing the steps of it, right? This becomes more obvious, but like he is paying attention to what she's doing, right?
They leave tiny breadcrumbs about of how observant and like smart and problem solving Alex is, and there's a big one in a moment here.
Yeah.
But he goes to school. He doesn't tell anybody. He's a very sad boy, understandably.
Yeah,
and he returns to find the house even darker than before, now with newspapers up over the windows.
Yeah, this is...
And the house has gotten progressively darker each of the last 3 scenes he's arrived, to contrast that warm, we're a fun family, we're all together, things are normal vibe. And it's just gotten worse and worse for him, and representing just a bad home life that's been getting worse progressively.
Yeah. He goes about his day, and he just looks dead, just like broken, right? Just kind of lifeless. He's on a school bus, he's in a classroom, and he just looks honestly kind of like his parents, just lifeless, just like there's no light inside at all. And yeah, back home, the lighting, like you mentioned, it was bad the day before when none of the lights in the house were on. And now it's just even worse. The windows are covered in newspaper plaster, and just even the air just has a more sickly quality to it. More of Gladys's things are just all over the place. It's not his home anymore. Very clearly not his home anymore. But he is trapped there. Just, he's a kid. Where else is he going to go? He is utterly trapped there.
So that day he goes upstairs to find a house in disarray, and like furniture's been like just moved in weird ways and stuff. But also he finds Gladys seated on the ground in front of her shrub in like an almost meditative like.
So basically, what was Gladys's room? All the furniture's been removed. It's just been taken out of that room and thrown into another room, and that room is now just a junk heap of piled furniture and all the objects that used to make up another bedroom.
Because Gladys took over the parents' room. It's very much a supplanting your parents. I'm the authority figure. I'm this, that. And so Alex is told, don't talk. We don't need to talk today, little child, but you can feed your parents soup. And he is now the tiny man of the house and has to do this with great difficulty. And here's what I was talking about. The first time he feeds his parents soup, he has to use the can opener, and he struggles a whole lot, and he doesn't do a good job at it. But then they show him buying the little pull tab soups, where he does not, as a child with no strength and with no real knowledge of how can openers work, have to do that. And so he learns. We see Alex being a smart child who learns and such on this. And he has to feed his terribly catatonic parents soup, and it's a bummer. But so we see a little bit of Alex's life as it descends into this awful bit. And one night, Alex gets called into Gladys's room, and he finds her hunched over sort of a large like pot bowl thing she was vomiting in, it seems. This is where she explains she's very sick to Alex.
This room of Gladys's, it's really just, it's a ritual space, really. It's not like a bedroom, right? There's no furniture, really. It's a circle, and front and center of the circle is that tree. And we get a better view of it now, and it's kind of an evil looking tree, right? The wood is very dark, and it almost looks like almost like ebony, really. Like it's a menacing little tree, right? And we can kind of conclude this is where those twigs are coming from.
They seem to show it from a distance to not reveal that to a degree early on. But yes, this seems to be the source of the little twig wands that she made.
Okay, that is part 2 of our review of Weapons. We're getting to the end. We have a lot to talk about with this one. Definitely. A great film, but yeah, we came down on different sides to some extent on this one. So yeah, stay tuned for the finale of our review of Weapons, Part 3, coming up next.